Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We have a lot of news from the Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, which had an event and panel at Anarchy Film Festival, which happened on Tuesday. So yes, a lot to discuss, including new images from the anime movie that is releasing on December 13th. So yes, we need to get right into this. But firstly, below me is D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, happy to be here.
Happy to have you back. And alongside you, we also have Strider. Hello there, my friend.
Hello there. Looking
And
forward to this one.
definitely, and finally, we have V as well, who actually looks quite similar to Hera in this one, maybe as well, with the red hair.
Oh yeah.
I was debating on wearing a shirt that is very similar to Hera's, but I couldn't find it last minute. So,
Yeah.
oops.
We're going back to back on this because in the Tom Bombadil one we had Jason Miller who nearly looked exactly same as Tom Bombadil. So look, that's very interesting. But no, regardless, we have first off a look at. I know this has gone quite an interesting conversation, but who is technically tapped as the main character of the War of the Rohirrim, Hera, who is the daughter of Helms Hammerhand, who of course was just mentioned more briefly in the appendices and the movies, of course, expanding on it. So this is her first look. But firstly, does anybody have any thoughts on the art direction of the War of the Rohirrim as you can see from here? Then we can go into the character as well.
I could say, looking at the sword design, really liking it. It kind of harkens back to Harrogrim, so definitely fits the aesthetic there of Rohirrim. So I like that.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I didn't actually catch that right away. I was just more focused on her face and the interesting fellows in the background. I was a bit surprised with the way the facial features are depicted. I didn't expect this style of animations. Yeah, like I know they said like it will look like more like kind of like Castlevania and so on, and it feels slightly different than that. It feels like a adjacent art style. I mean, I am by no means an expert on anime, but it has more of like this older look. I think it feels like a combination maybe of like a little bit of Castlevania, because I mentioned that because I think they quoted it specifically by name. It feels like older, like I don't know, 80s,
Yeah,
90s
people were
anime.
mentioning a retro 2000 style that they've gone for here, which is interesting.
I mean, yeah, I mean, actually, 2000s were now many years ago, so I guess that
Yes.
counts as older anime now.
Hmm.
What
But
about you?
yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting, especially like the sort of like crown. It's not a crown, but I don't know how else to call it, to be honest. With the leaves, etc. And I also don't really understand the background because it's like a mountain is blending with a wall at some point, and probably maybe they have blended two different backgrounds in one. Uh, because I don't know, it just seems a bit weird. I don't know from the angle that we are looking at her if it is like it looks like it's two different backgrounds. I don't know if you understand exactly what I'm saying. So, but
I know what
it's
I know
the
what you
design
mean.
is really nice, and it's indeed reminiscing of older style animes.
And
Okay,
do you think that's Orcs or Dunlendings in the background as well? Because I know you mentioned maybe if it's not part of the same, because you can see them. I'll try zoom in. Actually, yeah. Look at that.
actually, I
Image?
have a theory that
Go
I
for
want
it.
to hear we first.
No clue, honestly.
Okay, so can you get like to the full frame? Yeah. So actually, you just zoom out a bit more even.
That's the max.
So
Yeah.
it looks. I mean, we're not seeing the guy on the right, but I mean, it doesn't matter. So these look like some kind of like not tents, but like tent like houses or something in the background, and her
Yeah.
back is towards these people, whoever they are, and the guy over there, I don't know who he is, might be Fralov perhaps, or who knows. He like all of them seem to be kind of actually on the same page, looking towards an outside threat. And what I'm thinking is, what if this is the first time we are actually seeing the Druedain, because they are that very obscure, very secluded tribe that is in that area between Rohan and Gondor. And I'm not sure where Hera will end up during the siege of Helm's Deep, but if she's not in there, she must be somewhere outside. And I think maybe she and Fralov, who will, well, I don't want to spoil that a little bit, but he will do some important stuff later on. What if they're somewhere else, and what if they end up, because the Lendis will overtake Rohan? What if they end up actually being, at least for a while, hosted by the Druedain? And maybe this is a scene where somebody, whoever it is, it might be some good messenger, or it might be someone attacking there as well, but they're looking at someone coming over to the Druedain camp. Because also the place beside her actually has like a wooden part of like a construction, so it feels like also there's a tent behind her. Even though I actually also thought it was some kind of like a hill or whatever, but it looks like it's like a camp behind them. So yeah, that's my theory. This is our first look at the Druedain.
That would be awesome if that. I feel like that, if I'm, in my opinion, that theory tracks quite a lot, and I'd be, yeah, if that does end up being fair enough in to our right in the screen as well. How interesting that would be, and we will get back to this one, but this is also not the only picture we saw image that got released, because we have also an introduction to the main villain, Wolf. D, any initial thoughts on this picture and this character?
Kind of looks similar to Halbrand. I'm not gonna lie. Make a connection. Yeah, kind of. He's got a menacing look there, so this could be a pretty interesting character. This kind of harkens back to a lot of like the classic Disney animation films. If I had, yeah, I'm thinking like Scar from Lion King or something. But yeah, this could be interesting. Look, can't wait to hear more.
He has a scar as well, so
yeah.
Yes, it's pretty accurate.
So yeah, it says here some interesting. I can maybe read a quote and then maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So we have an exceptionally great antagonist in this story, Boyan says. He's been one of my favorite antagonists to have written across all of the films I've worked on. And so the interesting thing here is that he is basically the first proper full-time villain that is a plain human. So yeah, I'm interested to hear, like comments on that. What do you expect from this character? What do you think?
I don't
Like
really
the
know.
potential for like a specific kind of drama maybe with him.
I'm not really sure. I mean, we know that, if I remember correctly, the reason he goes into a fight and all that is because Hera's father killed his father. Correct. Okay, my memory says right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yes, in one shot.
Perfect. So I don't really know what their relationship were before with them, but it could be some kind of betrayal as well. Sort of, because probably they were all known to one another, I want to say. It's not like their first encounter will be these. And I'm quite interested to see how the communities will be divided, maybe, and how alliances will shift during this like sort of war. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be quite interesting.
Yeah. And for me, and I think this is one reason why Philippa mentioned it, is because it's our first villain we're seeing from the Peter Jackson universe, which is almost independent of Sauron almost entirely. And that dark force is we're gonna see the evil within humans. Of course, you can see that in the movies and the books with the Haradrim, etc., Easterlings. But here we are properly seeing motivation coming from a betrayal. It's more Machiavellian in a sense, and just I know people don't like comparing it to Game of Thrones, but it's something like that where it's factions of humans fighting, and it's not come from orcs or Sauron or evil deity or entity causing havoc. Is from human disputes, and we're going to see a different side of evil and villain through this character, which I think Strider, as you mentioned, would be quite interesting. But
Yeah. He looks cool. He looks really cool.
going on from he does look very, very cool. And we also have one more image here, and I'll pull that up right now. Oh shit, it's already up. Oh, sorry, shit, that's one. Yep. First look at Helm Hammerhand right here. Of course, Hera is right next to him. What do you guys think? Is this? We see him on his throne. It looks remarkably similar to when we see Theoden sitting in The Lord of the Rings, the whole architecture and surrounding, which is really, really cool. Yeah, initial thoughts on this from anybody?
I mean, as you said, it looks pretty similar to Theoden's scene, and also it looks pretty similar to Theoden himself before he took back his sanity, because when he became sane again and Gandalf treated him, his hair kind of changed color. They weren't as gray and white as before. So it definitely reminds you the first time you see Theoden, but in this case you have a much more kingly king who he is in his whole power, and basically I think he was one of the most powerful kings of Rohan, if not the most powerful of them. I mean, Helm's Deep took the name after him, and it's quite interesting to see like the whole family with him standing by his side, which was very different from Theoden when he was under Saruman's spell, where only Grima stood beside him. And I guess it will be quite interesting as well for Hera, because we see her in a more princess-looking way, and then we will see her going into battle. And this is a good parallel with her and Eowyn, because we also see Eowyn dressed appropriately for her class, and then changed into the knight outfit that she has. And also, it's a kind of similar dress. At least they went with green, and if I remember correctly, the first scenes of Eowyn were in a green dress, going outside of the palace, something like that. So we can see quite a lot of parallels in this still with the Rohan that we know from the trilogy.
No, I agree and agree. And as mentioned at the start in the articles, it's set about 168 or something years, something around that region before. So it's interesting to see like the development of Rohan once you get into the movies. But of course, yeah, everything similar wise looks same. Of course, you mentioned the family aspect of it, which I think is almost integral and central to this movie. And interested to see how that will be developed. But D, Strider, anything before we move on?
I wonder if we'll get to hear the horn of Helm Hammerhand sound in the deep for the first time.
I
Sorry,
think
had
we
to.
might
Wow, that would-
end up hearing it a couple of times. I think that's a pretty good bet.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
but
Yeah.
I
And there'll be that guy sitting on the throne.
exactly, yeah. I just want to point out, I think someone shared it at some point. I think maybe Melonheads. That this looks like that this is exactly the look of the throne that Theoden has in the
Yeah.
movies. So like it's basically, we all knew it, but now we can see it actually on the screen. That
Yeah.
the look, the
Visualized.
vision of this world is the one from the movies. It's just animated. But like if anyone just Google Theoden throne room or something, and you can see like this part of the throne behind him, it's exactly the same.
Definitely, yeah. And we also have a synopsis, a part of a synopsis, where it reads, Strider, you read it last time so well. Do you want to read it again from this part here?
Yeah. So a synopsis for the movie reads that Helm's daughter Hera must summon the will to lead resistance against a deadly enemy intent on their total destruction, as Rohan's situation grows more perilous. And then she adds,
I think that part's
okay.
just a quote, but that's very interesting. So we're going to see Hera rising up, of course. Technically, this isn't. This is all more original stuff that they've incorporated to flesh out the story and narrative. But does anybody want to talk about just how everything we've seen so far, the emphasis on the role Hera's going to play alongside Helm? And I know you guys probably mentioned this on your other Warhammer Wednesdays before, but how do you think Hera's almost going to be centered within this story? Anybody have any first thoughts?
So yeah, for people who are maybe watching this for the first time or something, like we on this channel did already, I think 5 or 6 episodes where we were breaking down the news as they were going out, as they were being released about the movie. So maybe go check it out because we talked in depth about some of these things. And yeah, like regarding Hera, she will probably be kind of like the point of view character. We'll probably see most of the story through her eyes. And actually, we'll talk later. I think the movie actually, this main story, I think even actually starts with her specifically. We'll get back to that a bit later. So yeah, I think we will see it through her, and then she will probably have this maybe like a character arc where, she has to maybe like take the responsibility to help support her people because some things happen later on. We don't have to go into complete spoilers, even though this is already pretty spoilery. So yeah, I think the point of view character, and then she'll probably have like the most of a character arc throughout the movie.
And one of the main reasons they keep talking about incorporating her is because she's one of the only ones that ends up, spoiler alert, surviving. So you need a character that is prominent. Oh, sorry. Well, I'll cut that bit out, don't worry. I can just move on from that. But yeah, no, Strider, no, I definitely agree with that. And also from this, we have that the runtime is going to be 2.5 hours. So originally it was 90 minutes. By doing the post-production, they increased that to 2.5 hours. So what's anybody's initial opinions on that? Dee, do you want to start off with you?
I personally love it. You think about all the recent movies that came out, like Oppenheimer, Dune Part 2. They're kind of an extended run, close to 3 hours, more than 3 hours. And it allows a film to kind of sit where it needs to sit. So sit into a scene, get immersed in the scene, and also cover a vast area of the story. So I look forward to that because it sounds like we'll be getting that with this, where there'll be certain scenes where we get very immersed in it, and then we move the story along and get into some interesting action, like some of the earlier photos that were released at the beginning of this, like with the Oliphants and stuff like that. Like, could be some intense battles in this for sure.
I mean, I remember when we first were starting Warhammer Wednesdays, the runtime that we have speculated and from the clues that we had was much lower, I think, from the 2 hours and 30 minutes. It was kind of close to 2 hours, but with credit scenes as well.
Yeah, it was 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And also back then when we started, it didn't seem to be that big, but as we get closer, we see that the movie is getting momentum. It has gained a lot of runtime, and I think even somewhere I read, even the producers and the writers themselves didn't expect to be that long at the end. Which personally it makes me really happy because gaining such momentum it gets away my first fear that I had that I won't be able to see it in the theaters, that it won't release here, because I was pretty afraid about that.
Oh, wow.
But it seems to be big enough and to have like people worried a bit about it enough that it got a lot of time, and it will probably be released more widely as well.
And yep, we don't want to speculate too much, but maybe one reason why we got nearly over an hour added to the film could it be because of this news here? Because since then, Peter Jackson has now officially come on as an executive producer, and he was kind of involved more detached. Like, for example, he chose the name Hera for the main character, etc., with Philippa Boyens, I think, and a few other stuff like that. But yeah, having Peter Jackson now properly involved with this, Stride, I'll go to you. What does this mean for the Rohirrim, do you think? And what do you think impact he has? What's his involvement?
I think I think that it's really cool that we are getting a 2.5 hours long movie, and I think it's just Peter Jackson actually going right for the extended cut right away. Like, we're not waiting for it, we're just getting it right away. I think this is a really good idea, honestly. Just also tied back with the previous point about the runtime. Like, the fact that they had the freedom to build the story and let it grow and let it expand without the studio being like, hey, cut, we need this. No, they were allowed to be they were allowed to be as free as they want with the story, and usually that's for the benefit. One of my favorite movies of all time, Kingdom of Heaven, is a very notorious movie for the fact that the theatrical cut is like 3-4 marks below the director's cut. Studio meddled, cut a lot of important stuff. Movie was, it looked cool, but it lacked the depth, the soul of it. And then you watch the director's cut and you see, okay, this is the proper vision of the director. It's brilliant. The Kingdom of Heaven movie, director's cut, is great. And there's so many instances in the past of the cinema where the studio meddles, does something like that, like cut this, and the movie then ends up being mediocre. So I think this is really good news, and maybe even the fact that Peter Jackson in a way got, I don't think he had like some direct influence on the movie itself. It was probably some maybe consulting, because him and Philippa Boyens, they're all friends and all that. But I think he probably had some more of a supportive role, not very active maybe with the story and all of that. But it's great news that he's involved, and who knows, maybe it's because of him that we have 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Feel like maybe the link between the two is started to become potentially more apparent, which would be very interesting. But yeah, regardless, his involvement will be something we'll hopefully find out properly very, very soon. But what else do we have? We also have something which is quite cool, and I thought I wanted to bring it up because I know everybody loves her, but we got told that it took about 10 to 15 minutes standing at the microphone, and you could feel the voice coming back and the character coming back about Miranda Otto, who of course plays Eowyn, who played Eowyn and will be narrating her here. What do you guys think of this? This is really, really cool for me, in my opinion. DV, either one of you?
I love it. It's gonna be great. Like, I think the last time I saw her was in Talk to Me, that like horror movie that came out recently. She did a great job there. So definitely support Miranda Otto wherever she is. So I think this would be a great continuity into, I guess, this age of Middle Earth, having her narrate.
Definitely.
Yeah. It will be amazing. Eowyn was probably my favorite character from all the trilogy and stuff, so it's amazing having her back. And also it's really interesting to see from which point of view she will be narrating. I mean, to which situation, like she will be narrating this to her children, like a story around the wildfire, like something like that. Is she telling that story to someone else or to her people or whatever. I don't know how they will go about it. I think they haven't really hinted anything actually about the situation undersea which narrates, or if we will see Eowyn at all, and like as a preset of the narration to start, or if we will immediately hear her voice. And probably they will keep it, in my opinion, for the movie itself. They won't reveal it in any of the other promo. Until the movie lands, we won't know exactly from which situation is Eowyn telling us this story. So, yeah.
I think there's a possibility that they might, they can always just do her voiceover from whichever scene. If she actually has like a scene where we see Evan on screen, they can always cut that voiceover and put it. They can cut the audio and put it as a voiceover over the trailer, perhaps. But yeah, I think we won't see a lot of Eowyn, even if she is even in the movie. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they might like leave that for the movie. But it would be so cool, like if there's a movie opening in like Ithilien, because she moves there with Faramir, and maybe she's telling the story to her kids, and then we have like this maybe wonderful view of somewhere from like a hill, some hill in Ithilien across the forest. We see Anduin and we see Minas Tirith, and then maybe we actually see towards the north as well. Maybe the camera pans towards the north across the lands or something like that. Like there's so many cool potential for this intro. But even if it's just her voiceover and we don't actually see Eowyn's screen, it's amazing that she's back. And as we can see here, like it took her 10-15 minutes to just get back into that super iconic character. Great news.
Indeed, great news all around, so it seems. And I feel like it'll just be so interesting to see how that all plays off. And I feel like it will hopefully be quite good. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for everyone here for joining us in this discussion. And yeah, we'll be interested to see come December 13th how this will all pan out. But until then, we'll carry on speculating and discussing, and so will you guys. And yep, we'll see you throughout that journey. Goodbye.